Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, brothers in arms, World of Warships, and today's video we're going to take a look at a game that I had in the Richelieu, the Tier 8 French battleship. I'm divisioned up with my buddies from BIA, Puddin, and Spider, and they're playing in the Hipper and the Kiev respectively, the Tier 8 German heavy cruiser and Soviet destroyer, and we're playing some domination here on the map Northern Lights. So the Richelieu here in World of Warships. What do you need to know about this ship? Well, the reason why I haven't featured a Richelieu replay yet is because I just, quite frankly, didn't like this ship all that much. I finished the grind on it a couple of days ago and purchased the Alsace, and overall my thoughts and feelings about this Tier 8 French battleship are mixed at best and mediocre at worst. It's just a ship that, you know, it doesn't really have any crippling weaknesses, and it has quite a few nice strengths, but there's just something about the guns on this thing that really kept me from liking it all that much. Now, as you can see on screen, these are my statistics after I finished the grind in the Richelieu, and, you know, it's pretty good numbers in all honesty. Win rate's fine, kills per game is fine, the average damage is almost at 100k, which is also pretty good. But there's just something about this thing that I didn't like, and hopefully, as you guys watch this replay, I can explain to you why. So, what do you need to know about this ship? Well, first of all, the hit point total at Tier 8 is pretty fine. 63,700 with the fully upgraded hull. That is perfectly a-okay. The only problem with the hull armor on this thing is that it's covered in 32 millimeters, and it's not just the bow and the stern, it's all over the place. So what that means is that ships that have IFHE, you know, 152 millimeter, 155 millimeter cruisers, not to mention 8-inch cruisers, are able to just absolutely cake your superstructure, your deck, your bow, and your stern with high explosive spam, and there's really nothing that you can do about it. This thing is not as tanky as something like a Bismarck or a Tirpitz that actually has comparable deck armor and bits of bow armor and whatnot that are actually strong enough to resist high explosive spam. This thing takes damage from HE shot, unfortunately, just as badly as the British battleships do, and that's something that has been common with the battleships that have been released into the game in the last few months. Obviously the British, a lot of them covered in 32 millimeters, covered in armor that is not able to withstand high explosive spam, and the French are really no different in that regard. Now you can see there, one shell hits the Chapayev on the nose, and I managed to get a Citadel, but that is the exception rather than the rule. You come equipped with 8 380 millimeter guns in the very French flavor of 2 turrets at the front with 4 guns apiece. However, besides the fact that the shell velocity is a very, very healthy 830 meters a second, that is where the good kind of stops. The accuracy is very suspect, and the reload is still at 30 seconds, so you do not have the DPM of a ship that has 15-inch guns. It is very mediocre. And of course, 15-inch shells are unable to overmatch, say, 27 millimeters of bow armor, which unfortunately is what you find on German cruisers and American cruisers, for instance. And even ships like this Chapayev, granted, I got very lucky on that nose Citadel, but him being angled right there, that's actually not bad angling against these 15-inch guns, and it's going to take a couple more salvos for me to finally finish the job on this guy. You can see one shell goes in and penetrates, but one also ricochets. And it's really this reload of 30 seconds, which just makes this thing trying to deal lots of damage to enemy ships, combined with the fact that the guns are not very accurate. It just makes it somewhat frustrating to use at times. You know, you'll have broadside battleships at 10 kilometers or under, and it still is going to troll the heck out of you sometimes. And it's something that is very much an acquired taste, because it is very annoying to deal with. Now right there, I do pick up the first blood on that Tier 8 Soviet light cruiser, but you can see I'm already under quite a bit of fire from the enemy Utiloi, and something like a Utiloi is actually a big threat to this ship, because his high explosive shot is obviously going to deal quite a bit more damage to me, because, I mean, look at that, almost 2,000 a pop when his high explosive hits right in the superstructure, and, you know, he also has the range, the rate of fire, and the speed to be able to get out of dodge really quickly. So that's why I decided to turn away here, because I really did not want to spend more time getting focused by his high explosive shot. And you can see here I'm taking quite a bit more damage because I had to make the turn, but it was a play that I had to make at the time because I did not want to keep getting focused by that guy. So now, with my speed boost activated, I'm going to run away from that Utilite and hopefully get out of dodge and try and get away from that sustained DPM that he is bringing to bear on me. And of course, being a French battleship and having access to the speed boost here at Tier 8, it is something that you can do pretty effectively. You can go well in excess of 30 knots in this ship, especially if you put on the Sierra Mike flag as well, and it makes it very easy to disengage from combat if you so desire. Anyway, going back to the statistics real quick, the AA, in a nutshell, is pretty good on the ship, especially with the B-hull. If you go with an AA build, it does have quite a potent AA suite, in keeping with the 1943 refit in New York. The ship does not have necessarily the best maneuverability. The stock rudder shift is 15.4 seconds, which is, that's not too bad for a battleship. And the turning circle is only 850 meters, which also for a BB is not that bad. And then the surface detectability stock is 16.7 kilometers. I'll get the actual number once my detection bloom goes down. There we go, 12.6 kilometers with a full stealth build, which is not that bad. However, you can see here, going back to the replay, I'm at about half health, and all of that damage that I've taken has been lost rather quickly, and you can see more high explosive spam. There's an enemy DD, it's a kid, I believe, that is sitting behind that island. Yes, it's a kid right there, and he is just spamming me with the high explosive, and there is so much coming in. I've been lit on fire multiple times throughout the course of this game already, but you know, that's the last thing that I want to do. And right there, you can see the Gneisenau hitting above the belt armor right into that very weak 32mm bit, and just dealing 8,000 damage with only a couple shells that managed to hit that side. So it's very unfortunate. Now, after I've went over all the stats, it might sound to you like I'm painting the ship in a bad light and it's not very good. Well, that isn't necessarily the case. It's just something that it's just hard to get used to. It really is. And, you know, as you saw in my statistics earlier, obviously I'm a pretty good player, so I'm still going to do pretty good in this thing. But for the casual out there, this thing can be very difficult to play correctly because you have the speed boost and you have the low DPM, at least for a battleship. What that means, and you can see right there, 6,300 damage, 1 pen, 2 overpens, 1 shell actually breaks on the broadside of North Carolina. It probably hit the deck, but I digress. You know, this thing doesn't have the best rate of fire, and combined with the fact that it's really quick, you see a lot of noob players out there put themselves into way too advanced positions very early with French BBs, and then they take a lot of unnecessary damage, and then, you know, like I kind of did right there. I'm down to less than half hit points. Granted, I do have my next heal coming up here, but I have lost a lot of hit points very early on in the game, but because I'm smart, I disengaged with the speed boost, got myself out of dodge, and now I put myself in the back line, where I can safely open up fire when I so choose and, you know, be able to more easily dictate the pace of the combat. And you can see most of the enemy ships are in the vicinity of the sea objective, but they're all cowering behind the islands and the various bits that are over there. So that's okay. Sometimes I shoot and I don't get detected, sometimes I do. I just gotta wait 20 seconds and then I will go undetected. So I'm just biding my time and repositioning myself. And this is one thing that French BBs as a whole are able to do very, very nicely. Of course, once again, I got the speed boost going and I'm moving into position to try and work out a flank on some of the ships that are moving to the west of the Sea Cat. Looking for a shot here at the Kiev, and as I did mention earlier, this thing does have excellent shell velocity, and you can see just how quickly these battleship shells get downrange. This is no North Carolina or Alabama. Those shells are very quick coming out of the barrels, and I pick up my second kill of the game on that Tier 8 Soviet destroyer. So a very nice shot right there at 2,100 hit points, and all I needed was 2 over penetrations to take care of business. Now, something that I hit on a little bit earlier, but is not going to be indicative of this particular salvo right here. There's going to be a lot of times in this ship where you fire at a full broadside cruiser, expect citadels, and don't get rewarded for it. Now, of course, that one right there, I get 1 overpen and 1 citadel, but again, I'm not joking when I say that that is more so the exception rather than the rule. There have been so many occasions in this ship where I'm just not able to punish people very heavily simply because the guns have so much penetration that they lend to overpenning more often than not. And it's a very frustrating feature of the ship. And again, since it doesn't have the fastest rate of fire, when you're not able to punish a ship on a broadside like this York right there, 10,000 damage, that's all fine and dandy, but something just tells me that the other Tier 8 battleships like the Amagi or the North Cal would have been able to just obliterate that guy right then and there. you can see there's a whole bunch of low-health ships. That North Carolina earlier was sailing broadside for 3 entire salvos at about 14, 15 kilometers, and I wasn't able to really, truly punish him for it. And it's just, again, it's something that you're going to have to get used to because it is a rather frustrating feature, if you want to call it that these ships has. Now, of course, in due course, I managed to get a Citadel right there on that Tier 8 American battleship, and I pick up my 3rd kill of the game, and you can see that I do smell plenty of blood in the water, and I am just going to continue my push here into the sea cap. There's a whole bunch of low-health ships out in front of me, and I'm going to see what I can do. Now, with this next salvo coming up, this is bad. I mean, take a look at this accuracy, boys, when I zoom back in. Ugh. Yeah, that was very, very rough. I'm not 100% sure what I was thinking at the time when that salvo went downrange, but I was definitely not happy about it. And you can see the York is down to 70 hit points. He is still running away. And once again, more HE spam coming in from him. Sets me on fire and does a decent bit of alpha strike to me. So, you know, this is, again, something you're going to have to deal with. At this point in the game, it's 507 to 445. The enemy team has lost 5 ships, and we've only lost 3. And for the enemy team, make that 6 now as I get my 4th kill of the game on that 70 hit point York. What an epic kill steal, if I say so myself. I'm still pushing in, and I have 3 fires burning, but because that kid is right there, I really want to save my repair until I can get myself in a position where I know that I'm going to be very safe from torpedo attacks. So right now I decide to, as he would have to come well around the corner to be able to get his torpedoes off on me, and I have my 2 forward guns and, of course, the secondaries. That's something else that I forgot to mention. The Richelieu has a decent set of secondaries, and it's not a terrible idea to go with the secondary spec because the Alsace afterwards and the Republique at Tier 10 do have some pretty terrifying secondary arrangements. Excuse me. But, oh, hold on, I lost my train of thought. Well, anyway, I do pick up the Kraken, killing the Charles Martel, and I'm about ready to capture the B objective here, or the C objective, excuse me. There we go, the assisted base capture. But yeah, it's not a bad idea to do secondary builds on this thing, but you're going to have to deal with the fact that you're not going to have aiming systems modification 1, which will help out your main battery guns, so then you're going to have even more trollish dispersion, which is something that is just, it's so darn frustrating with the ship. I really cannot tell you guys enough how frustrating it is to have these guns perform in such odd ways sometimes. I do manage 4 overpens, however, on the Utiloy, and I pick up the Confederate, which is nice. And at this point, the game is virtually over. I'm just trying to move into a position where I can go around the corner and maybe get some more shots at those enemy destroyers. Putin manages to torpedo the Richelieu on the other side of the map, so these 2 guys are the last ships that need to be taken care of. The kid has been spotted, and he will be going down here shortly from somebody else. So instead, I decide to turn my guns over here to try to get some shots on the enemy Utiloy. There goes the kid. I get my full broadside out. You'd expect a deletion here. 4 more over penetrations, and then my buddy Spider manages to finish off the game. Alrighty guys, taking a look now at the post-battle results. 484,000 credits received and just over 11,200 total experience earned. I did pick up a nice quintuple of medals with Confederate, Fireproof, Dreadnought, Kraken Unleashed, and First Blood. I only dealt 98,000 points of damage off of 50 shell hits. I shot down 1 plane, sank 5 enemy boats, had 3 citadels, 1 assisted base capture, and only 10 secondary hits. Taking a look at the team score, 2,261 base experience earned in this game. That was a very nice performance. My buddy Spider finished in 2nd with a kill of his own in 1577, and then Putin finished off in 6th place with 2 more frags and 1436. So we accounted for 8 of the 12 enemy ships that were sunk. Taking a look at the detailed report, all of the damage was dealt with the AAP, sans 1,881 that was done by the secondary battery. I had a pretty decent amount of potential damage at 1.3 million, and I took 85,500 in return. So I was able to tank about 22,000 more points of damage than the ship actually has, which is nice. And then you saw, I went over to the west, which is a common place to engage on the north map. I got focused down, I took a lot of damage, so I retreated, used my speed boost to get out of the combat area, and then I wheeled back around to go to the sea cap and come in at a different angle and get a lot of kill secures, which helped our team to victory. So, again, guys, this video wasn't trying to, paint the Richelieu in a bad light. It wasn't there trying to slam the ship, because it's certainly not bad. It's just a ship that, Coming from the Lion at tier 7, that has 16 of those ridiculous guns, 13-inch, 13.5-inch, something like that. And then, of course, the Alsace after this, which has 12 of these Richelieu guns with a faster rate of fire. The ship just feels a little underwhelming due to the main firepower that's able to bring to bear. But you can still have nice games like this if you know what you're doing and you play smart, utilize your damage control, which transcends the Richelieu. That's just being a good battleship captain and putting your guns to work on targets that are providing the best opportunity to deal damage. So, with that being said, this is the Sneaky Snake for Brothers in Arms World of Warships signing off. Guys and gals, please consider giving the video a like, commenting on it, sharing it with your friends, or possibly subscribing to the channel. All of it is very much appreciated, and have a great day.